Welcome to the Tap2Open tutorial. Today, I want to talk about setting up with Tap2Open systems. First, I'll talk about the duties of the administrator. Then we'll talk about the residential supervisor as well as the resident. And finally, we'll mention the guest. The administrator is directly involved with Tap2Open in creating the account. He or she will supply Tap2Open with all the addresses within your HOA. The addresses will allow each resident to obtain access to the Tap2Open apps. The administrator will send welcome emails, which is an instructional email to each resident in the HOA. This email will provide instructions on creating the username, password, and downloading the apps of Tap2Open. The administrator will also manage the Tap2Open account for the HOA. The supervisor is the individual in the household who will control the app for their specific address. The supervisor will be able to open the gates as they approach them, and they'll also be able to open the gates anywhere within the boundaries of the HOA. The supervisor is the one who will be adding others who live at the address as residents. They can also invite guests, and they can also see the usage history of the residents and guests who use the app. The resident may also open the gates as they approach the gates, and of course open the gates anywhere within the boundaries of the HOA. Unlike the supervisor, they cannot create a new resident within that address. Only the supervisor can do that. But they can invite guests. They can send invitations. And that's pretty much the limit to the capabilities of the resident with the Tap2Open app. The guest is very limited on what they can do. They can only open the gate from an invitation that they have received from the supervisor or from a resident. Now, let's talk about the Tap2Open welcome email. The administrator will obtain all the emails of the residents of the HOA. He will send what is referred to as the welcome email. Now, this email will be received by the residents and will look similar to what you see here on the screen. When they open this email, it will list several simple steps that they'll need to do in order to download and use the Tap2Open app. The first step is to take note of their username. It is a computer-generated username and is usually made from the resident's first name, followed by a period, their second name, followed by the number that is used in their mailing address. My address is 216 Eagle Bluff. So my username is rich.stip216. Now the resident will be able to change their username if they want to. The administrator will have the ability to look up a username if the resident forgets what it is. The next step that a new user must do is create their password. On this screen, it's listed as step 2. Some of the emails I have sent out, it was listed as step 3. Regardless of where it falls in the email, the password is the first requirement after noting their username. The password is created entirely by the resident. It must contain 8 characters. That can be 7 letters and 1 number, or 7 numbers and 1 letter, or any combination of those two. The password must be created before they attempt to download the app, as the app will ask them for both their username and password before they can have use of the app. I will tell you that the password can only be viewed by the one who created it. If a resident forgets their password, the administrator will not be able to tell them what it is. If it is forgotten, the administrator can send out a reset email. Once they've established their username and password, they can return to the welcome email and begin the process of downloading the Tap2Open apps. There are 2 of them. The first one is the dashboard. This is the app that will allow the supervisor to add residents. It will also be the one that the supervisor and the residents can use to invite guests. There's also a gate access button at the very top of this app, which will allow them to open the gates. At the bottom of this welcome email page is the second app, and that's called the Gate Access app. When this app is downloaded and used, it will bring up the entrances to your HOA. In our case, we have a north and south gate. And when our residents click on this little gate arm, it brings up two bars, both green. One will say North Gate, one will say South Gate, and whichever one they click on, that's the gate that will open. So, very simple, very easy process of downloading these apps for a successful journey with Tap2Open.